Hi, I'm architect Monica Khosla Bhargav. I run an architecture and interior design practice by the name of Kham Consultants. Today I'm going to be discussing something which we all love, food. No, I'm not going to be sharing recipes or telling you about the best places to eat. I'm going to be speaking about how you can grow your food at home, not as an architect, but as a farmer. Extending this concept of urban agriculture to our buildings, complexes, public spaces, and even our cities. And if you feel that you want to learn more about growing your greens and urban agriculture, then do subscribe to my channel. The common argument that I have heard against growing edibles in public areas is that people will pluck them and eat. So what's the harm? We will just be eradicating hunger. In fact, I recall from my history classes in school that Sher Shah Suri built the Grand Trunk Road. What remained in my mind was that he had planted mango trees all along to provide food and shade for the travelers. And it's not that this concept doesn't exist in urban areas even today. While working on a project for the 250-year-old South Park Street Cemetery in Kolkata, I noticed that the place was full of mango trees. People had taken care to plant a fruit tree near the grave of their loved one, and although over the years the architecture of the tombs and the paths were in a state of disrepair, nature had taken over and the place was flourishing like an orchard. The learning, of course, is that indigenous plants and trees require almost no or very little care. It's quite common to see a papaya tree growing out of a crevice or just along the footpath. Another example, I was stuck in a traffic jam on my way to a site at Behala Chaurasta. As I looked out of the window, I saw that the area under the flyover, which was demarcated for landscape, was scattered with debris, and plants and weeds had grown all around. And as I looked further, I saw a woman sorting and plucking hinche saag. That's a saag which is grown locally. I've been farming and growing my wheat, rice, potatoes and vegetables for the past 15 years. But it was that scene which got me thinking that urban agriculture could be an important part of the city landscape. It's not that urban agriculture is something new to the city. In fact, in Kolkata, 40% of the vegetables in the markets comes from farming on the landfill sites where the solid waste of the city is dumped. These large expanses of landfills, they're changing the geography of the city, and we need to reduce them through effective solid waste management, a subject that I've already discussed in my previous video on Sustainable Diwali. What I'm pointing out is that agriculture could be an integral part of the landscape, and this model could then be replicated in other cities. These landfills inspired educationist Sangeeta Sood to start using the concepts of composting, home agriculture, and microgreens to educate young minds at her Science Academy Explore.
In all my years of teaching, I have observed that students have an internalized fear for maths, as a result of which they lose interest in the sciences. I constantly try to look for projects where I can teach these subjects through hands-on activities. This helps my students to relate the concepts learned in the textbooks to the real processes happening all around them. One of these is to teach them how to grow microgreens. In the course of this project, we teach them what microgreens are and why they are a healthy inclusion in our diet. We teach them how to grow microgreens and the difference in the process of growing a plant to be consumed as a microgreen or as a mature plant. We teach them about the different potting mixes, and they effectively apply the concepts of ratio and percentage when they are making a soil mix for their containers. As their plants grow, we teach them about minerals and vitamins. We discuss polyphenols, why these are important for healthy growth and how they reduce the risk of diseases. The students are able to relate iron, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus to the plants which are a source of these, and they cease to be mere chemical formulas learned from the chemistry textbook. Words like imbibition, transpiration, capillary action, evaporation, osmosis are no longer definitions that are learned for an exam in bio or physics, but they become real processes as the students observe the seeds swell up when soaked in water. They observe the top layer of their soils becoming wet when their containers are placed in a water bath, or the inside of a closed container which has a live plant becoming full of moisture. They are awed by the magic of yellow leaves turning green in a matter of 1 or 2 hours of exposure to sunlight, and photosynthesis thus becomes a real phenomenon. Through origami, we teach them how a 2-dimensional sheet of paper can be converted into 3-dimensional container for their plants. Volume, area, ratio and proportion, percentage, and many other mathematical concepts become so much more relevant and interesting when they do the calculations with reference to their mini gardens, or when they are working around the recipes of their favorite burgers and pizzas instead of solving sums from the textbook. When they do the cooking, they can see the changes brought about in plants due to oxidation. Another big takeaway from this project is that we teach them how to recycle stuff around the house. We teach them how to compost kitchen waste, thus introducing them to aerobic and anaerobic reactions. But along with all these academics, the biggest takeaway I feel is that my students are able to create greenery on their windowsills and their verandas. They are able to experience the joy of gardening without having to bother about big open spaces and bright sunlight. At the end of it all, they become master chefs who learn how to do gourmet cooking with the help of the microgreens they have grown themselves. This year, being an online project, we had an active parent participation. The parents not only appreciated the project, but they also enjoyed it a lot, which was a big motivation for us.
This practice of growing your greens helps you to love nature and live with nature. It helps to reduce the disconnect that city dwellers have with nature, which is why we love our little patches of green, our open terraces and verandas. Several years ago, I had designed a house for Sheetal Bavishi with a tiny open terrace. I was so impressed when I saw on Facebook that she was using it to grow her herbs, vegetables, and had even started her own blog, Bijam.
I have come across microgreens during my visit to Canada last year. I had even been served these tiny little greens in my salads in various restaurants. I always wondered what these beautiful looking greens are. I have googled it and got to know the numerous health benefits of microgreens, and that we can save ourselves from the adulteration of food if we grow these on our own. So what are microgreens? In India, we used to eat sprouts of pulses. Sprouts grow in our hot and humid environment, and we used to eat these sprouts with the seeds. But in microgreens, we grow them in soil, and when the first true leaves pop open, we cut it, wash it, and we eat it. So no seeds are involved in microgreens. And it is proven that microgreen stage of a plant contains nutrition up to 40 times more than their mature counterparts. I have tried my hands on growing microgreens simply from my kitchen spices and pulses. Luckily, as Monica mentioned, she had designed a beautiful terrace garden for us, and it was the perfect spot for these agricultural experiments. It definitely took effort initially in growing these microgreens because no one around me knew about it. After several trials, I have succeeded in growing my own set of microgreens, and after consuming them, I have experienced the satisfaction of eating pure and chemical-free food. So growing our own food is not difficult at all. I grow microgreens from spices like fenugreek, mustard, coriander, and pulses like black chickpea, lobia, green moong, and even from wheat. Likewise, we can grow tomatoes, brinjals, chilies, gourds, many vegetables in our kitchen garden. And I have already sown all of them to get my vegetables ready by summer.
Sheetal and Sangeeta, you're both a huge inspiration to the community, both young and old, to start growing their edibles and switch to a more sustainable lifestyle. This way, our urban system could reduce its dependence on the rural areas, and the rural areas could improve by gaining some urban services like education and healthcare. Farming has technologically advanced today, and we can use modern techniques like aeroponics, where you grow plants in an air or mist environment without the use of soil. Hydroponics, where you grow crops, again without soil, but in a mineral-based water solution. And aquaponics, where the waste produced by the fish supplies the nutrients for the plants to grow. These plants in turn purify the water. This will help us to move beyond the traditional dependence on soil, air, and water. And if this video inspired you to grow even a small pot of edible greens, then don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel.